Oh man, what a beautiful day. Finally got a little rain, nice cool breeze blowing. Oh, hey guys, yeah, come on back. I'm over here at one of my favorite spots. I thought I'd bring you guys back here to one of my favorite spots on my whole property. And the reason why I'm bringing you here today is because we've got something to celebrate. I told you guys, like, I don't know, 6 or 8 months ago that I don't like being the bearer of bad news all the time. I don't like to be the one that has to lay it out there and tell you guys the cold hard facts of what's been going on in this here world. I mean, it's a dark and dirty job to do, and sometimes I really have a hard time doing it myself because I just don't like being the guy that has to constantly bring the bad news. You know, it's the don't kill the messenger kind of a thing, you know, where you know, I don't want people to get depressed because they're coming and watching the hands-on channel. That was never my intention when I made this channel. So I told you at that time, when good news came along, I would gladly come and share it with you. Well, we've had some of the best news that I've seen since 2020. It's the best news that I've seen since 2020. And it's a huge freaking victory for freedom of speech and people that want to be able to have freedom of expression. You know, I didn't make it this way. You didn't make it this way, but it has become the town square. Places like YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, these Instagram, all these other places that are social media platforms have become the town square. And of course, as we know, for a little while now, Elon Musk has been trying to buy Twitter. And the shareholders and some of the people on the board, mainly the nerds on the board, were the ones that were putting the stop on this. And in fact, even the Biden administration had come out, several of his agencies, the SEC and some other group, were coming out and attacking Elon Musk as a result of him trying to get involved in the Twitter sphere, I guess we'll call it. Well, I've got some great news for you. If you haven't heard by now, Elon Musk now owns Twitter. And I mean, mind blown. I did not expect this outcome, to be honest with you. I kind of figured that between the people, the liberals that control Twitter, and a lot of these other people like that Saudi prince that was coming out, that's apparently a big shareholder and stuff, I just didn't see it happening. I thought that the SEC or somebody else would put up some sort of a roadblock to where they wouldn't allow Elon Musk to own Twitter. Well, it's official now. It happened since the time I left my suburb house to the time I got over here. I heard a news blip. Elon Musk is now the owner of Twitter. This is amazing. And, you know, I'm not putting my faith or hope in one man. I don't think Elon Musk is a conservative. In fact, I know he's not a conservative. He's from South Africa, so he's probably got his own kind of a brand or take on politics and American politics. But the most important thing is he's anti-censorship, and that is a huge deal. Whether or not the guy believes in climate change or any of this other stuff is besides the point. He believes in the ability for you and I to have a voice in the town square. And that's all we've been asking for. And so I have to give him a round of applause. Incredible job, Elon. I really appreciate it. In fact, Elon is behaving the exact same way that I would if I was a multi-billionaire. I mean, at first it seemed like an epic troll that he was attempting to do on the people that own Twitter, to maybe get them to do some of these things voluntarily so he wouldn't have to buy up the company. But instead they chose to stick to their guns and stick to their censorship. And even a couple of days ago, Obama, and I think it was Michelle Obama and Barack Obama, came out and said that they're pro-censorship. Freedom of speech doesn't mean you get to go on the internet and say whatever you want. And I agree with that to a point. If you're not doing anything illegal or, calling for violence or anything like that, then you should be allowed to say it. And even the most basic things, like here on YouTube, you can't even question certain things like the results of the 2020 election and other things like that, or anything to do with the transgender agenda. If you dare question their most sacred cow on YouTube or Facebook or any of these other places, just by coming up with reasonable, logical conclusions of your own, maybe you have your own opinions about how things ought to be. Maybe it's based on a biblical narrative of God created Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. And there are no, in the book of Genesis, there are no mentions of, these non-binary creatures, right? I mean, it's just not something that frankly, is real, except for in this liberal, crazy town world that they're trying to make everything become. And so to see Elon Musk take such a victory against Twitter just gives me, and my heart, it fills it with joy. Now, I'm careful not to spike the football because I realize that this is just a minor victory, but I wanted to share some really great news with you guys about that because, it seems hopeless all the time. I mean, I was just talking to somebody earlier today on the phone and I'm like, man, frankly, guys, I'm going broke. I work in the oil field, and the oil field should be booming right now. And it would be if we had the right kind of leadership in the White House. But we don't have the right kind of, and it's not just the White House, it's the Congress too. I was talking to this person, this really good friend of mine that we've been talking politics for over 25 years. He was probably the one that red-pilled me the most out of anybody else that I've ever come across in my life. He was the one that red-pilled me right out of high school. I remember one night, it was my only time that I've ever had cognitive dissonance. And basically what happened was, and I've got all these gnats flying all around me, but what happened is I was just out of high school and we were sitting there in my first house. I told you guys in other videos that my wife and I got married young. I was 18, she was 19, and we bought our first house almost instantly. We lived in like an apartment for like 6 months, but we just couldn't stand it anymore. We had neighbors that were super loud and attempted break-ins and all this stuff, on and on. It was just a terrible deal. They broke into my wife's car like 3 or 4 times, broke her window out. I had to change the window 3 or 4 times. It was just unbelievable living there in that apartment outside of a city. And we saw the writing on the wall early on. We were like, hey, let's get out in the country. Well, my really good friend was sitting out there, and he was older than me, had been through college and had a political science degree and stuff like that. So he knew a lot about politics, where I was just kind of green and everything, just out of high school. I didn't know much, right? Didn't even really care much because, I was more into partying and, hanging out and just, chatting and stuff like that. But lucky for me, a lot of my friends were older and, more mature and more, they knew more about the current political situation back then in the 90s, right? Well, we started arguing one night and I was like, man, it's a democracy. And he was like, no, it's a republic. And I'm like, no, it's a democracy. And I got pissed off. I remember I got really mad. In fact, I was like kind of bowing up on him and stuff. I'm like, dude, I just got out of high school. My teachers have all told me for years and years it's a democracy. And he explained to me how, no, think about it. He goes like, when you pledge allegiance, it's to the republic, right? Not to the democracy. The founding fathers were dead set against democracy. But if you go to any high school in America today, that's all they talk about. When you hear the word democracy, you ought to almost kind of just be like, no, repulsed. You ought to be like, no, that is not what the founding fathers had in mind. Not a pure democracy anyways. We have a limited type of a democracy where it's like a democratic republic, right? We don't have a full-blown democracy. But if you listen to anybody on the media or anybody in your high school teachers or all this, right, they'll 9 times out of 10, unless you happen to draw a conservative teacher, 9 times out of 10, they're not even going to ever mention the republic. They're going to talk all about the wonders and the joys and how wonderful it is to be in a democracy. Well, we're not in a democracy. We're in a republic. And anyways, that's how I first got red-pilled. And thank my buddy for doing that to me and helping me years ago, because again, I got fighting mad about it. And I understood from that day forward what cognitive dissonance was. It's when someone comes along and tells you something that upsets everything that you've based your mind on, right? I mean, somebody tells you something that upsets the apple cart inside your mind, and you're like, wait a minute, this doesn't compute. And it took me a little while. I had to come back and apologize to him. And it kind of embarrassed me because, I kind of made a fool of myself in front of my wife. And, but it was something that was necessary for me. And it really red-pilled me. That was my biggest red pill moment. And, again, I don't think Elon Musk is the do-all, end-all answer to everything. But my God, come on, Elon, buy YouTube. Please buy YouTube. I mean, my God, this platform has so much potential, and it used to be so much better than it is now. And again, I have to be careful. I can only go up to the edges of a lot of these different topics because, you know, again, I fear having my channel just completely removed. And everybody's going to say, you know, go ahead, come into the comments and tell me how I should go to Rumble, or tell me how I should go to whatever, BitChute or some other thing like that, right? The problem is if we lose this ground here, YouTube, the most popular platform on the entire internet, then we've lost the internet, in my opinion. Twitter is a minor victory. I've never had a Twitter account, but I'm strongly considering it. If Elon Musk actually does what he says he's going to do, I may very well go start a Twitter account. If they bring back, you know, Trump and Alex Jones and other people like that are on my side of the aisle and believe the way I believe, then I'll be glad to go and join Twitter. And I won't fear being censored in stuff like that. Maybe I'll be able to say more things over there than I can actually say here on YouTube. So this is a huge, huge win, guys. We need to take this and enjoy it, but don't let our guard down because we haven't won the war, that's for sure. This is just one micro battle. And, you know, again, thank God for Elon Musk coming out and putting his money where his mouth is in the name of free speech. And I really do believe that's why he's doing it. I don't think it's just because of a popularity contest or anything like that. I really think it's just because he's like, hey, I see a problem here. I've got the money to make this problem go away. And what I predict is that Twitter stock is going to shoot through the roof if he does what he says he's going to do, because all of the people that have been exiled from Twitter and banned and, you know, just whatever, shadow banned, whatever you call it, just directly banned, like a lot of people, you know, Alex Jones, Trump, all this stuff. I mean, these people are now going to be back on that platform, and they're going to have a place to voice their different concerns. And I think that's a huge, huge win for our side, especially when we got this election coming on. So guys, take this victory for what it's worth, but again, don't spike the football, don't celebrate too long. We got many, many more battles ahead of us. But I wanted to share this good news with you, and I wanted to bring you out to this really beautiful spot. Just a side note here, the reason you haven't heard from me here lately is for two reasons. One, I was out here brush hogging for the entire last week. I was out here brush hogging, running the brush hog, breathing dust, and just giving her hell, man. I've probably I brush hogged every field that I could get to, and I restored several of my fields that I've never brush hogged before. So this is a huge deal. It's cut down on my fire hazard around here because I had a lot of tall grass that was just real dried out, you know, from last year or whatever, deadheads and stuff. So I went along, cut all that down, a whole bunch of little cedar saplings and what's the other one? Sumacs, whole bunch of sumacs all over the place that were taking over my fields and stuff. And I was able to go in with my brush cutter and cut those things down to where they're only like this tall now. And according to my farmer buddy that I work with, he was telling me, he goes, you do that 2 or 3 times, you know, for the next couple of years, and those trees will just die. They won't be able to come back. So I'm really excited about just having everything to where we can access it, and we won't be getting as many ticks and chiggers and things like that when we're out here. Man, I don't know what these little gnats are, but they are all over me, and they're juicy little bastards. When you squeeze them, when you slap them, they don't move away. They just crushed to dust on your hand, or to guts on your hand. So anyways, I'm in the gnat zone here. That's never happened before, but yeah, back behind me, we've got a little spot we're planning on making into a little camping area, putting a fire ring out here, and just being able to enjoy our property more. Even this section here, my wife and I built this road back here so that we could access one of the fields, a field that I call Red Field, because it has a lot of clay and a lot of red bud trees and stuff. So just really beautiful right now out here in the spring. I'm enjoying life, I'm enjoying liberty, and trying to keep my head above water in this insane economy. You know, one thing that was negative about the brush hogging was that every time I bought a 5-gallon can of diesel, it was $25 because it's roughly $5 a gallon right now. And so I spent well over 150 bucks just brush hogging this thing, and it shouldn't have cost me more than about $20, maybe 40, you know. I mean, so 3 times more than what I should have spent brush hogging this thing, and that's just because the fuel prices in Biden's America are so out of control. So guys, we got a long uphill battle ahead of us. This ain't over, but Many victories like this we need to celebrate. We need to take time and celebrate and appreciate what this is. And come on, Elon, buy YouTube. Forget Facebook. Facebook's a lost cause. But YouTube is worth fighting for and saving, I believe, anyways. Anyways, it's probably not going to happen. You know, that's probably a pipe dream. Let's celebrate this Twitter victory for right now. But guys, let me know down in the comments, what do you think about this? Is Elon Musk going to do what he says he's going to do and make it a free speech platform like it once was, and to where people can go on there and disagree with the mainstream narrative? Now I got wasps flying around. Maybe they'll eat these tiny little juicy gnats that are all over the place. But anyways, I'm going to get out here and enjoy some hiking trails, just walking around in nature and just having a nice day. Even though things aren't great all the way around, we got to take the little mini victories like this because we need this. Our mind, body, and soul needs victories once in a while, and we just haven't had any. Damn these gnats, what the hell, man? I mean, there's like 50,000 juicy gnats all over me. I'm gonna have to go wash my jeans of all the gnat blood after I get out of here. But yeah, the other reason I didn't make any videos last week, I actually brought my camera out and I planned on making a couple of scenario videos and stuff like that because the fans of the Hands On channel seem to really like those. And so look forward to that in the future. But I ended up getting a terrible chest cold right when I came out here. The first day I came out here with my tractor and brush hog, my left nostril clogged up, and I thought, that's pretty weird. And I didn't even brush hog that day. I just came out and slept in the shipping container, and on the way over here, my nostril kind of clogged up. Well, the next day, it was both nostrils, and then after that, it went down into my lungs, so I've just been suffering with a chest cold. Don't worry, it's not COVID. I went ahead and took a COVID test, one of the home tests, and it came back negative, so I don't have COVID. So that's good news, but I've just got a good old-fashioned, regular old-timey chest cold, and it kind of laid me up, but I kept on going. I kept on brush hogging because I needed to get it done in the time that I had to do it, you know. So anyhow, guys, hang in there, keep your head up. Somehow or another, I don't really see how exactly, but somehow or another, things are going to be all right. We just need, really what we need in this country more than anything, more than billionaires that are pro-free speech. Look at this crap. There's I don't know if you guys can see that. There's 3 of these juicy gnats right here, and they don't even care. I'll just kill them. Look at that. That's so weird. Why are they coming after me like that? How bizarre. So far, I haven't sucked one down my raw throat, thankfully. But yeah, I've been coughing like for a week straight and having a hard time. This is the first day I'm actually not stopped up enough where I don't sound nasally and stuff as much when I'm talking. But guys, hang in there. I know it's frustrating as hell right now because the world's going to hell in a handbasket. And I think that's because we've turned our backs on the Creator, on God. But our nation was founded on Christian principles and values. In fact, I can't remember the quote exactly, but the Constitution was written for people that have morals. It wasn't written for people that are morally bankrupt like a lot of people in our country today. So, guys, pray to God, pray to Jesus that our country can come back to God and have our come to Jesus moment, because that's what we need more than anything else, is to come back to God, the Creator. God bless you. I appreciate you tuning in and spending a few minutes with me out here in the woods. Hopefully it does your soul good to hear some good news for a change. Don't worry, the next couple of videos will probably be bad news because whether we like it or not, 99% of the news coming out right now is terrible. I mean, world-shattering.